What's up, everybody? This is Habanero, and I have two special guests with me, which I will let them introduce themselves in a second. But today is all about basically the history of bombs and KingSlayers. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, starting off with Johnny.
Hey, Johnny Bombs here. Don't know if you can see the bomb shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
And
I go by many names, but I guess the one that people know me the most is Slavo, repping KingSlayers.
with the merch, both y'all guys
The
got the
merch.
merch. That's
You
what I'm
gotta- you
talking
gotta-
about. That's some dedication.
You gotta
Awesome.
represent.
So I got these two here today, really to go over the history between the two, how they both started, and let's just start down the line here. Johnny, you want to talk about bombs, how it was created, who were your go-to managers at first, and then how to develop from there.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I started the game in about July of last year, and I started out with I hit nukes. The first two battles, we did okay, top 20, I'd say. But then a lot of the guys, our leader went AWOL, a lot of guys weren't playing, and our main core asked me to go create a clan. So I went with bomb threats. And from there, we took 3 straight second place against Star Moon. So Lucky was our original superstar. A1 was another one. Morning Bombs came along and Killer. And then we had our basically equipment professional Simon or SK Bombs. And then slowly we just filled in that roster. And by that next battle, we were already, ready to compete.
Awesome. And let's go ahead and talk about the beginning of Slayers. Slav?
So I started playing HRC probably about the same time, July 2019. And really, I was just looking for a baseball game. I was kind of getting in baseball season. I was looking for a couple games to put on my phone, found HRC, fell in love. Right around the same time, I came and got the app. They started doing clans, and like my addictive gene just started coming out. I ended up on a local clan here in Hawaii. I forgot what they're called, 808s or whatever. And I played, I think, one clan battle with them, got about 900 points, felt pretty proud about myself, that first one there. And I was like, you know what, I think I could do better. I think I could do better on my own. So I was just looking to start a clan on my own, just start fresh. I guess I was watching Game of Thrones. I don't know why I chose KingSlayers. I say this still to this day. I was like, it's a really corny name. I probably could have chose a lot better names to be cool about, but it stuck with it. So started from there, started recruiting, went through Facebook. That took a little while. The community guy was a little bit slow. Went through Reddit, did everything I could to try and recruit, except for going clan to clan. Didn't do that till later, but in the beginning phases, we did that. I think we hit top 40 first time around, and we kept just growing and growing and growing until we got to about top 10. And I think that's when we started crossing paths. I think I crossed Morning on Reddit, and then I think I had it saved. I think it's on my old phone, the one that I rage broke when I was playing Battle. But I had a screenshot of when Johnny came into the clan to talk to us about joining forces to try and take down Star Moon. I think that was about November time, early November. And in the early days, I would say guys that we had on the team in the very early days, Jack was one of them. We had a lot of guys where we just constantly kept evolving. JRT came from Steel City. That was a little bit later in January. Same thing with Evo as well too. That's probably one of the big names in the history of HRC as far as how much CP he could put up per battle in the early days. So those were some pretty big guys. Pets was a very big communicator on our team, helped us continue growing. But success for us, we did well, but bombs was always better in the beginning. And we talked a little bit about trying to join forces, try to take down Star Moon, try to create a collective of U.S. national clans. I think we spoke to quite a bit of people trying to make that work. And our competitive sides got the better of us, and we decided to try and take on each other instead. So Johnny definitely got there first in January, and I think we had kind of had that Peyton Manning syndrome where if we were ever going to win one at one point, we're like, I don't know, man, these guys are on a roll, winning like 3 or 4 in a row. And finally we broke through about March time, and then the ball kept rolling from there.
Hey guys, check this out. This is, people say fun fact. This is as fun as it gets. Loyalty won 2. Then Star Moon won 3. We won 4. And KingSlayers won 5. To one up, 4 teams in a row, one up. I thought that was one of the most incredible runs in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was definitely seeing, the two teams go back and forth, and just kind of back to back, and sometimes, and I mean, you could definitely tell in the community Discord, right? There was a lot of tension, a lot of competitiveness, even on Facebook. I think Facebook is where all the tension really started. A lot of going back and forth, which was really good to see, and kept us all pushing to the next level. Johnny, from your side, right? When did you realize that there was a real rivalry between BombZ and KS? Like, when did you start really picking that up and going from there?
Ironically, right at the end of our first run, we got Czar. We had our evil. And it's crazy, but these guys were just expanding. I'll say this. We got the communication app. That was awesome. That really drove us. Thanks, Slav, by the way. And but I mean, they were just out there. They were talking to everyone, and they would do it on we started watching, but it was hard to watch because they had a lot of officers out there talking. And by that time that they started their run of 5, I had those same questions. Are we ever going to win again? I mean, they were on a roll. But yeah, right around when Czar came around, and then we got BCG and G Money and Jen, and we got some, real good players. Drankiness, I don't know if you guys remember him, and Samurai. Oh yeah, they were powerhouses. We also had Song and 032. Those were great players. But yeah, when they started their run, I really questioned whether we would, be able to pick up the pieces, even with Czar. And Czar, nobody competes with Czar in confidence. That dude is he knows how to win, period.
He definitely.
I don't know if that's.
He may have been the most hated player from the KingSlayer side for sure. So, well, maybe second. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe
it's debatable.
Second. Hey, I bet my picture losing a game was more on the wall than Czar. I guarantee it.
So
I bet your wall was full of me.
So we had a game. We have a trophy room, obviously. We had a little game based on if you beat someone like with streaks, and you get like points for that. And like I think beating Johnny was like worth 10 points. It was like it was like
That's
almost like
great.
a bar game. It's like if you beat Sar, you got like 50 points. But then if you beat Johnny, that's 10 right there. We need we gotta make sure we beat Johnny every time. Come on, guys. Don't let him go on those runs.
For sure, definitely good time. So I heard Johnny mention.
That's fun, man.
Oh, absolutely. I heard Johnny mention a lot of big names there. Slav, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to for especially at the beginning of KS? Obviously, there's monsters throughout both teams, right? Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But any honorable mentions from your side?
I think what made us successful was continuing to evolve as the months went on. I know for me, I feel like saying years, but I mean, we've only been playing for about a year competitively. But I mean, it feels like years just based on the amount of time and effort that we put in on a daily basis. But, there's quite a bit of guys in the beginning that came around that eventually, nutrition of the game, people stop playing for various reasons, whether it be personal or just, frustration and stuff like that. But I definitely, JRT was one that from Steel City, he was very important as we continued to grow. Same thing with Evo. Jax, he was a guy that came from Facebook, one of my recruiting posts from Facebook, and he ended up being a very dominant player in the early years of 2020. Champs, that's actually an interesting chapter in both our histories. We picked him up from Texas. We visited. Just like you mentioned, our recruiting, going out there, he he definitely was someone that we were very excited when he came aboard our team. We felt that took us to another level. Um, there's just so many people that have come through our doors that, and every step of the way, have continued to keep building on what we did. So, those are a few to name. Timmy, he came around later on in March. Corti. uh, that's currently where he at right now. Yeah. There's just so many that have impacted our team. I mean, Habanero, to say a few on the IT side. We wouldn't be the brand we are if that didn't happen. So it's that ripple effect that you do something and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger just based on the decisions we made. And I think I don't think I would change anything because we probably wouldn't be in the position we're in today. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of people out there that impacted our team.
For sure.
Same, definitely.
So I want to start kind of talking about each of your teams and some of the acquisitions / merges that you did. But before we talk about that, there was a talk between you two about actually merging at the very beginning, right? What was that like?
Yeah.
Who started that conversation and where did it go?
So I'm pretty sure I popped up on their radar because of my Reddit posts, because I was very annoying with I think I posted like almost once a week, my KingSlayers, like, hey, come join over here. And then Morning mentioned, he commented like, hey, good job, keep it up. And then, like I said, one day Johnny showed up on our in-game chat. He joined the clan, and then he ended up, just mentioning that, hey, we want to build a collective team to take down Star Moon. Let's talk some more. So I ended up joining their Facebook group. We talked quite a bit. I had some connections just based on the Facebook community. I knew Blue Collar Crew because they're very active in the beginning on Facebook. I knew EPZ from Reddit, surprisingly. It wasn't the same EPZ that I know today, but back then I was like, hey, I know a guy named EPZ. We could go talk to him as well too, from USA. So we had some connections, and I was all in the beginning as far as wanting to take down Star Moon. I felt like obviously they were number 2 for a reason because they had a lot of great players on their team. The team that I had was, I think, 6th place at the time. We were doing good, but we weren't there. So I knew that if we could help them, maybe we could build, a super team every once in a while to take down Star Moon. And that's kind of how we first interacted was through that time period. I believe around that same time, then HRC or Hagen, they decided to expand the rosters to 30 because at the time it was at 25 when you first start off. And then there became talks of, hey, what if we decided, we ran 2 teams, what if we decided to work together? In the end, I think probably my ego got the better of me as far as wanting to beat them. So it never really worked out in the end there. I was worried a little bit about my guys and what would happen to my team itself. So it did fall apart at the end, but I think for the most part, we still tried to stay in some type of communication afterwards. But they didn't need my team at all because as soon as the next battle was available, they took first place and pretty much smashed Star Moon into the ground. They didn't really put up much of a fight.
It's crazy because I look at this a little bit differently. I can't say if it was Slavo's ego or wanting to, I wouldn't call that ego. You're competitive. It's a competitive game. It's a lot of guys coming together and you care about your team. But seeing as this guy doesn't play the game anymore, and Slavo knows where I'm going with this, seeing as this guy, I can't use his real name, Morning Bombs was basically the head of that project. And I believe it was him that found Slavo and him that brought Slavo right into our management room. I mean, so we did try, but Morning Bombs went a little bit crazy with the power and started saying, look, you join with USA, you join with BCG. Slavo, you come here. We'll do this with your team. And I think that's what broke it up. I mean, and plus, we wanted, just like you, we were okay trying to do this on our own. We would like the help, but we wanted to do it on our own. Star Moon had stomped us 3 straight. We wanted revenge. Simple as that. And I mean, you guys would have been great allies for that, but we wanted that revenge. So when it fell apart, yeah, I wouldn't call it hard feelings. I think it was just didn't work out.
Yeah, we on our side, we did have a group meeting, our managers at the time, probably the night before everything kind of fell apart. And Jax, you can actually thank Jax for this here. He was like, we go over there, great, we do it, that's fine. I'll follow you wherever you go. We'll make sure to make this work. But how sweet would it be if we did it on our terms? And I think that kind of sunk in my head that night before, and that's kind of why the next day things kind of fell apart as far as what we were going to do. So, I mean, Jax definitely did play an important role with his motivational speeches, and I think that was probably the beginning phases of him doing that.
Hey, Slav, also, what about the brand? That's another big, man, one of us would have had to lose our brand or
Right.
combine our, yeah, that became important.
Do you remember what we had said, like what we were trying to come up with? I remember Kings and Bombs was one of the suggestions or something like that. Bombs and Kings.
Yeah. Bombs Kings, I thought.
Bombs Kings, yeah.
That's corny, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's corny.
Yeah, I think we made the right choice. I think we made the right choice. Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, that's it's definitely crazy to hear that, your guys' perspective of that whole situation, because I think there's a lot of speculation from other people, right? And just hearing it directly from, the two leaders, it's definitely pretty cool to see. Let's move on to the recruiting wars, because obviously, again, both teams had big acquisitions. I'll let Johnny, if you want to start off, what was some of your biggest recruits or even, acquisitions with teams or merges in your eyes? What were the biggest ones?
Well, number one, me and this guy don't get along anymore. But honestly, Thor coming in. Thor came in, later brought in Breezy. Thor was the sub-clan extraordinaire. That dude worked magic. He always motivational with a guy named Killer Bombs. Slav knows him well. But yeah, it was Thor, him coming in. Asgardians didn't become big right away, but it was a second clan. Thor basically called me out one battle later and said, dude, I brought a clan and I'm doing good things for you. Make me a manager. And I was like, well, obviously. I mean, this dude's all over the place. Communication, it was hard for us top guys. We were so focused on the top clan. We needed Thor. We needed Killer. Later, Simon or SK went down. So I mean, yeah, that was a huge one. And then BCG. Me and G Money had talked for months before that. But he wasn't leader, he was a manager. I just wanted him to come over. Then they kind of had a shakeup. He became leader. The next day, he was part of Bombs.
Who was the leader of BCG?
Arca
yes.
82. He became Devil Dog afterwards.
Yep.
That's right.
BCG was pissed. A couple of guys came to Bombs. They were not having it. A lot of them just bolted.
Cool. Any other notable merges you want to, or that you can think of?
One of them we're going to talk about later, so I'll leave it alone.
Deal.
The Taiwan one. Yeah, Deal. That one.
All right, let's go talk about KingSlayer merges.
So prior to me having that, collective meeting and group with, the head leaders with like Bombs and Blue Collar and things like that, my main focus on recruiting was through the social media avenues. So going through Reddit, going through Facebook, going through in-game. I never thought of the possibility of visiting in-clan groups, visiting them in-game, because I thought at the time, I guess there was a certain level of, thought it was disrespectful to a certain level. But after everything played out and we kind of were fully committed as far as wanting to be the best team, we said fuck it. So we just went with it. That night, after we said it wasn't going to work out with Bombs, I visited Steel City. So that same very night, we hit the ground running. We talked to JRC and his team, A lot of important people came from that group. I already had a sub clan that I opened up, Young Lions, at the time. So we were building up quite a big roster at that point. Right after BombZ won their first championship, the second battle ended. We went to Hall of Fame and we visited Evo. And I think he was kind of the big enigma at the time. Before battle went down and was broken for a little bit, Evo on that 5-day or 4-day battle, he put up like 25K. So everyone was talking about him. He was kind of that big guy. And I was wondering about, what type of personality he had. But when we talked to him, we talked about building a team. He was very gung-ho. He wanted to do it. He had no ego as far as wanting to build a group to be successful. So the ones that worked out, those were two of the biggest mergers that we did, was acquiring Steel City and also acquiring Hall of Fame. And we felt our strategy, and I don't know how true it was, but we felt that BombZ they had all the best players. We felt Johnny had a head start with his recruiting. He's been starting since November time. We felt that when it came to the elite players, they were on his squad. But we felt if we could open up more clans, we could pick up more bodies, we can groom them, we can build them into, being elite players. And we felt like that was our strategy. Let them have, the top 10 guys in the world, that's fine. But we build a roster of 30 at the time. We were like, let's try to get the best 30 we can on our squad. And we felt like if we had the numbers, we could overtake what they did with their top players. Whether that was true or not, I have no clue. But I felt pretty strongly that if we could get the numbers on our side, by just keep opening up clans, then eventually we would overtake them.
Slav, you have no clue? Come on, man.
I'm just
you
saying,
had 2 streaks that destroyed our top 2 streaks.
I'm just saying, as far as in the beginning days, that was our strategy. Whether it was right or wrong, there was no way to test it out until you actually did it. I mean, that was our theory that, hey, they got a lot of good players on there, but if we can continue to grow ours and groom them and get them up to speed, eventually we'll be able to overtake them. I mean, now looking back on it, yeah, it was successful, but at the time it was a risk. I could have went, a different route as far as recruiting. I could have went to the top teams constantly and just kept getting our face slammed by the door every time we went to visit them. But we felt like if we could just grow them, that we had a good opportunity to do that. It would take time, but in the end, we felt like that was a good route.
You know what's funny? We used to make spreadsheets, and we would put our top guys on the spread. I'm sure you did that too. But
oh yeah,
we didn't realize that what you guys were doing was all aimed for the future. When we started having the spreadsheet with 2, 3 names missing, that's when it really dawned on us, man, we've got to be deeper. We're just, the bottom of the roster's killing us every time we lost. So yeah, that was brilliant on your end.
Yeah, we felt pretty strong that if we could groom them, that that would also build longevity and people wanting to stay on the team because they've been a part of it for quite some time. And yeah, it really did build our group. But you mentioned about the communication. Another important key role for us was just having that outside source where they can talk and communicate and share ideas and ask for tips and advice. And I think one of the biggest things that helped us a lot, which, it's just, I don't know if you want to call it coincidence or fate, but, acquiring Steel City, we were able to get in contact with JRT's team members. AO was one of his top managers. AO's brother, Habanero, IT guy galore, pretty much set us up where he helped just from the ground up build our Discord early January. And from there, we just blew up as far as the content we're able to provide our players and members. And I think that really put us, I mean, I don't want to brag, but I feel like that just separated us as far as, getting our guys the things they needed to be successful. So, I mean,
Right.
none of it is just a single person on our team. It's just a group effort. And I feel like that played a very important role as we continue to grow.
For sure. So next topic. I feel like this is going to need to be its own podcast eventually, but let's talk about champs. Because I feel like that was a big change because he started off with Slayers, right?
Yeah.
Or at least between the two of you guys.
He
He was with a Texas team. And again, well, I'll probably do a
Yes.
whole podcast with him about his history because I think he kind of deserves that with his status. So maybe
Right.
he'll Champs, if you're watching this, hit me up. Let's get this going. But yeah, Slav, do you want to start with that, and then Johnny, we want to talk about once Slav kind of starts with that, what your side of the story is with getting Champs to join you guys.